Thank you for tuning in and welcome to Hobby Tips. It's Friday and today we're continuing the Army Basing video series. And for those of you who have just tuned in, please remember to subscribe before you leave, because I promise you that between the 4+ videos I upload a week, there will be something in there you'll like. The last 4 episodes we've been doing these bases, and what they all have in common is that they are cheap, easy, and kind of fast to make. This one might take a bit longer than this one, and this one might take a bit longer than this one, but all in all, none of these will require a huge amount of time to process. Process? That's a weird word. None of these will require a huge amount of time to get done. So, today we're going to do something that is so easy and so fast that this will seem advanced and like a tedious long project. Because today we're playing with Armageddon Dust, Terminator Stone, and that's it. Really, that is that. Oh, no, actually. We're going to use some old snakebite leather for the base trim. You can't go out and buy snakebite leather anymore, but luckily Vallejo has a color called leather brown that does the same. So earlier today I uploaded a video about texture paints, and as a response to Erik Beer's video on why he didn't like texture paints, and while I agree with pretty much all of his points, I think he needed the other side of the story, where texture paints does have a right to exist. And as we've seen in several videos now, the Necron army I've painted up for Sleeping Bear is all based with this super simple method. And the thing to note is that these bases, as you can see here, they benefit greatly from some small skulls. These are crazy cheap resin skulls. I bought a whole bunch of them and been adding them to bases here and there. And also, of course, as with all Necrons, if you have spare scarabs, then for the larger bases it really adds to the atmosphere. The tuft I use here is some really short-strawed green tuft from Army Painter. Army Painter. I believe it is called Jungle Undergrowth or something like that. I don't remember, but they do tuft with long straws, like the ones we've used in previous videos, and then they do these. I think the length are 6 and 9, and for a desert look like this, I'd suggest going with something 6mm, because actually it's quite visible here too. This base is so flat that the tuft just looks a bit out of place, where on a base like this it's totally fine to have the longer straws, because a lot of stuff is going on here. So yeah, why do these ultra simple bases? They don't look as good, and in materials they will be more expensive than this one. They don't look as good as this one. They're fast, and they don't battle the miniature for attention. And in an army such as Necrons, I actually think that's a pretty good idea, because Necrons are supposed to be quite plain. There's not a lot of flowing cloaks and long fancy hair with insane highlighting techniques going on. There's not even a lot of heraldry or stuff like that. And if they were put on a base with various gloss effects and a lot of difference in height and stuff going on, then that might actually battle for the attention on the miniature itself. So that is something to keep in mind. If you if you're doing a Space Marine army, for instance, I chose these grey simple bases for my Space Marines, and then on random guys here and there, I've added various stuff like toxic pools and metal trash, not to be confused with trash metal, which is quite another thing, and skulls, bones, the occasional corpse, discarded helmets, stuff like that. But I do that when I'm just goofing around, having some time building a unit. But when I am in a hurry, I just smack on the regular base stuff, and they fit with the others. So, and of course, as with all the episodes, you can combine this super simple base with elements from the other bases we've looked at, some cork, some sprue clippings, stuff like that to give it some soul and some more detailing. But first of all, we're going to add Armageddon Dust. The base has been primed with a hardware store brand grey primer, but for the overall final look of this, it really doesn't matter what color you go with. And what I'm gonna do is, first of all, I'm just gonna paint it out there. And in contrary to what most people believe, I don't think you need to put this on very thick. Actually, I think you need to leave some small raised bubbles or areas, if you will, but you can keep it rather thin and play to the texture already on the base, because if too thick, this dust paint will actually lose its texture and just be globs of paint, where steel and mud, for instance, have a lot heavier texture, powder, whatever it is, some kind of sand added to it, and can start to look weird if you thin it out too much. It's really quick. And I've based the Necrons, and as I thought, this is now completely dried up. I'll then take the Terminator Stone and a beat up dry brush. I've allowed quite a bit of dry compound to stay within in between the bristles, because I want the effect to be pretty strong. And I don't really mind if it's a little streaky. And you can see sometimes some of the small globs of texture gets rubbed off by the dry brush. That doesn't really matter. If it leaves significant holes in the layer, just add some tuft there if you're going to add tuft. I'll just take a broad brush and my brown and paint in the base trim. So I'll let this dry, give it a second coat, and then we'll add some tuft. It seems it's called Wilderness Tuft. And again, this is what's left of it after doing the entire Necron army I've shown you earlier. So that is pretty cost efficient. Though I will at some point need another one. And you far from have to add it to all the bases. I'd say 2/3 or so will be just fine to keep the desert feel. But of course, our example base needs to actually have some on. So, simple and fast. Remember how dull these looked when we last looked at them? Now the bases have added the much needed contrast to the minis, and they're ready to join the others at the table. So there we have it, 25 more Necrons joining the army. And all in all, I spent about the same amount of time painting and basing these as I did assembling them. You could probably, by following the speed painting video and this basing tutorial, finish stuff like the start collecting box or the like in a day easy, even without having done it a million times before. So hope you found it useful. If you haven't yet, be sure to check the speed painting Necron video. Keep an eye on this playlist for more basing tutorials, and remember to subscribe before you leave. Other than that, enjoy your weekend and take care, and bye bye.